Hey guys, Brad from simpleguitar.com here, and thanks for coming back to another video. Today we are going to be talking about the different parts of songs, which can also be called song form or song structure, okay? And I'm going to break it down for you, and this is actually going to make things easier for you to learn new songs, to write your own songs, to analyze what the heck is going on with songs, and it is a great starting point for you that then you can mess around with different sections of songs too. I remember when I was starting out learning how to play guitar, when it came to learning a song, I kind of viewed the whole song as one big whole thing, right? I thought it was one gigantic thing and it was going to be tough to learn the entire song. It wasn't until later that I learned that these songs can be broken down into these different parts that made it so much easier to learn. So today I'm going to show you those parts because just like how you eat an elephant one bite at a time, right? We're going to break these songs down into different parts, and that's going to make it a whole lot easier for you to learn songs, to write songs, to do all sorts of stuff. Now, what I'm going to use today, I'm going to use a couple of songs from a band that I used to play in called New Tragedy. And I'm going to use those because they're really good examples of these different sections of the songs. And so as we go through, I'm going to insert those songs here into the video so that you can hear what I'm talking about. Now, to start out, the three most common sections of songs that you need to understand and be able to identify is the verse, the chorus, and the bridge, okay? Most songs are going to contain those three sections. Some will just have a verse and a chorus and won't have a bridge. Some of them will have other sections that we'll talk about as well. But really, the verse, the chorus, the bridge, those are the three biggest, most important parts of the songs. A couple of other small things that you'll see is most songs will have a specific intro. Some songs will also have a specific outro, and some will even have sections in the song that act as an interlude from part to part that are totally different and unrelated to anything else. But when it boils down to it, the most important parts are understanding verse, chorus, bridge, because those are the ones that we're going to use the most and that most songs have. Now, there are usually about three different things that will set these sections apart from each other. The first one is having a specific melody. So usually in a song, a verse will have a certain specific melody, okay? And then the chorus comes along and the chorus has a totally different melody. And then the bridge comes and it's a third totally different melody from the verse and from the chorus, okay? Now, one thing to watch out for though, and be careful with, is some songs, verses will actually have different sections in them, and your verse will have 2 or 3 different melodies within the verse. But for the most part, different melodies are going to break up these different sections. Now, the next thing that separates these from each other most of the time is a different chord progression. Now, most of the time your verse is going to have one chord progression like this. We could be doing this. And this just repeats, right? This would make up the verse. But then when you get to the chorus has a totally different chord progression that sounds something like this. You could do this. Right? Totally different chord progression, and that's one thing that separates those two from each other. Now, the third thing that is going to separate these sections from each other is actually having a different level of intensity or volume or different texture, okay? So for example, you could have a verse that's nice and clean like this, right? But then if we change the texture of what I'm playing, so I go from a clean sound to a more distorted heavy sound like this, right? That's a totally different texture. So that gives the song a different feel and it separates those parts of the song. Now, for example, in this song, Easy For You by my old band, the verse is nice and clean, right? So the verse is actually palm muted too. And then when we get to the chorus, we crank it up and there's distortion and it's louder. And then when we get to the bridge is actually almost the exact same as the chorus, except we change one chord in the chord progression. We change the last chord. Instead of going to this B chord, we go to a G sharp major, right? And we change up the rhythm of how it's played. So that changes the texture of what's happening with it. So if the chorus is like this, for the bridge, what we did is changed up the rhythm, changed up one chord in that chord progression, and we got this. Right? So that's a totally different feel, and that's what separates the bridge from the rest of the song. Now, in that case, your bridge actually got more intense, louder, a little bit more active, but you can change it up too, because we had another song that's actually, it's in drop D, where, so for the verses, it's all fast and intense like this. And then for the chorus is still nice and heavy and loud, where it's going like this. Right? Totally different. So what we did in the bridge in that one is we did the bridge quiet. So we actually took the exact same chord progression from the verse and just played it quietly and slow and pretty, right? Like this. And that gave a totally different texture. So these are things that you can listen for when you're listening to songs to go, okay, now we're in the verse because we're doing this. Oh, the melody has changed. The chord progression has changed. You know, the song got louder, so we must be in the chorus now. And then we get to another part that's either quieter or louder and different from the verse. And you can go, oh, that's the bridge. Okay. Now here's the trick. Instead of looking at a song like, okay, I've got to learn this whole song from front to back, what you do is you go, okay, first I need to learn the chorus, for example. Usually the chorus is the most important part of the song. So I always recommend starting with the chorus, or you can start with the verse and just start the song from the beginning, okay? Either way, but pick a section and start learning the song by learning that first section. Now, here's the cool thing about it. These sections, verses and choruses especially, usually not bridges. Sometimes they will, but usually not. But most of the time, a verse and a chorus is going to repeat within a song and be pretty much the same thing every time that it repeats. Now, good musicians aren't going to play it exactly the same way every single time. Usually there's going to be a little bit of variation from time to time. They might change up the rhythm a little bit. They might change how they play one chord a different way, or how they pick or arpeggiate one of the chords, do a little bit different pattern. There's something that most people will do to just change it up a little bit from section to section, so it's not just exactly the same thing robotically every single time. But the cool thing is once you learn the verse, you pretty much know all the verses to the song, because it's pretty much going to be the same thing. Once you learn the chorus, you pretty much know every single chorus of the song. Now, sometimes like the last chorus might get doubled, or the first chorus is half as long as the second chorus. But the principle of the chorus pretty much being the same thing is still going to carry through, where you're pretty much doing the same thing. So pick your first section of the song, whether it's the verse, the chorus, and learn that. Now, I've done a whole other video on this. Make sure that you learn the bridge of the song. A lot of people overlook it because it's not the most popular part of the song. But if you're playing for people and you're playing a song for them, you get to the bridge, you don't know it, you're going to kill the party. You know, it's going to kill the vibe, right? So learn the bridge. So learn the verse and view it as a verse. Then learn the chorus and view it as the chorus. Then learn the bridge, okay? Now, there are also going to be other little songs, like having the intro or having the outro or having little interludes that happen within the song. I would focus on those after getting the main part of the song. But for the most part, those will be their own kind of thing, where maybe after the first chorus, there's this cool little musical thing that doesn't happen anywhere else in the song. You would view that as its own section and call that an interlude, okay? Where that is going to happen between the chorus and the verse, and it only happens right there. Same thing with the intro. A lot of intros will do something that isn't repeated anywhere else in the song, but you can view that as its own section and learn that section all by itself too. Now, here's the cool thing. When you are writing songs, you can mess around with the order of this, because you can view each of these songs as their own block, right? You could say, this is the verse, this is the chorus, this is the bridge, right? And you could mess around with how often you repeat these sections, how long each section is, what order you put these sections in. So I like to think of these as like Legos. Each one is their own brick, their own block, and you get to shift it around and mess around with it and have fun with it. And the way that you do that is just by experimenting, getting creative. I actually pull out a whiteboard most of the time and will write stuff down and try different combinations or different orders of things. And that works out really well for me. But you can try that, or you can find something else that's going to work for you too. But when it comes to writing songs, write a verse, write a chorus, write a bridge, make them work together, and then mess around with the order and the length of each one of those as well. So let's do this. I'm going to play one of the songs from my band, and I am going to label each one of the song sections as it goes. So I will pop up on the screen the intro, the verse, the chorus, the bridge, all that, so that you will get an idea of how these different sections can sound together. And so let's go ahead and do that right now.
Take off the white dress, it crumbles to the floor. Standing in your innocence, it cuts me to the core. See the bruises that remain, the makeup cannot hide. A single tear begins to fall, and I know that it's mine. Is it easier to notice? Every time I fake this, can't help but feel for you. I'll make it easy for you. Is it easier to leave when you hear me scream? 'Cause that's what I would do. I'll make it easy for you. I'll call you a cab while you're standing in the rain. You won't be coming back again. You cannot stand the pain. I tried to promise everything would be all better soon. See right through my lies again and leave me in this room. Is it easier to notice? Every time I fake this, can't help but feel for you. I'll make it easy for you. Is it easier to leave when you hear me scream? 'Cause that's what I would do. I'll make it easy for you. the door. See the bruises as they fade, the makeup's wearing thin. A single tear, it has to fall, there's nothing left within. Is it easier to notice every time we fake this? Can't help but feel for you, I'll make it easy for you. Is it easier to leave when you hear me scream? 'Cause that's what I would do, I'll make it easy for you. Is it easier every time we fake this? Is it easier when you hear me? Is it easier every time we fake this? Is it easier when you hear me?
Okay, guys, that was the song Easy For You by my old band, New Tragedy. Those guys are awesome. It was actually probably the best songwriter in the band was our bass player, Zach. And he's the one who wrote that and brought it to us. He's good. I'm jealous of his songwriting abilities because he's an amazing songwriter. So big shout out to those guys from Zach and Bob and Brandon and Carrie. And even Doug and Chase played with us too. I mean, it was a lot of fun playing in that band. We had some cool songs. But that's it today, guys. What I want you to do with this is start listening to songs and listening for different sections. And then when you're learning songs, learn them section by section instead of thinking about the whole thing. Because how do you eat an elephant? You eat it one bite at a time, right? You don't try to get the whole thing in one bite. You have to take it one bite at a time. So start learning songs in sections. Learn the verse, learn the chorus, learn the bridge. Then if you need to, then you dive deeper and learn the variations on in the first chorus. This little thing is different. In the second chorus, they do this little thing different, right? But breaking your songs down into intro, first verse, chorus, second verse, chorus, whatever it is, right, is really going to make your life a whole lot easier. Now, one thing that I'm going to mention about the order of songs is a very, very typical order, and you can use this as a starting off point for most stuff. And then you can change it. Like, this is not a hard, fast rule, but this just happens to be one of the most popular song forms today. And by song form, I mean taking these different sections of songs and putting them in a specific order. For example, most songs are going to have a first verse, and then they're going to have a chorus after that verse. Then they will have a second verse, then a second chorus, which is the same as the first, might be longer, but is still thought of as just the chorus. Then after that second chorus, there's usually a bridge. And then there can either be a verse after the bridge and then a final chorus, or some songs will just skip straight to the final chorus. That is a very, very common song structure that you can use by writing a verse, writing a chorus, writing a bridge, and then trying out that order. And if you like it, use it. It doesn't matter if other people have done it. It gets used over and over again because it works, because it's something that is memorable for people. It's familiar to them. And those things are really important. When you can keep your songwriting simple and memorable, you're going to get a lot more people that like your music, if that's your goal. And so mess around with that. Use that song structure, use these different sections, and have fun. Now, if you haven't already gone and gotten it, I do have a gift for you at my website. It is the top 10 things to learn on guitar first, which is a guide for you. It's 17 pages full of stuff that I teach beginners when they are first starting out. So you can go to simpleguitar.com/top10 to download that guide for free and start having fun with it. The aim of that is to get you playing some real music and stuff that is really going to get you a lot more bang for your buck, stuff where the learning curve isn't really steep, so that you can start playing music and having fun with your friends and impressing everybody right away. So go ahead and go to simpleguitar.com/top10, download that guide, have fun with it, and I will see you guys in the next video.